Welcome back. German Arms Oval here in Hahndorf. Good first half from the Magpies. And we got the privilege of joined by Director of Harcourts Adelaide Hills. And what's your role at Hahndorf this year? Of course, Trent Shorland.
Footy Director.
Footy Director.
Yeah, thanks, Goldy.
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thoughts on the first half before we get into your trip to America?
Obviously, great second half. Second quarter, but first quarter was a little bit slow. Obviously, it was always going to be Mount Barker Hahndorf games are pretty physical, so it was nice to see us sort of pile on some goals there in the second quarter. So looking good.
Last time we chatted was pre-season, leading into the season. Thanks again for the incredible support for Call of the Wild live streaming. You were going to head to America. Tell us about how it went.
It went fantastic. So yeah, I was lucky enough to travel to New York firstly and watch a Celtics-Knicks game at Madison Square Garden, which was quite an experience, an overtime game. So got my money's worth. And then probably the real highlight of the trip was travelling down to Augusta to watch the Masters for Saturday, Sunday. So
tell us about that experience. And you went to the NHL, didn't you? The hockey?
Went to the ice hockey as well. That's not so great for blokes my age because it's very hard to see the puck. But it was an experience was worth obviously being at Madison Square Garden and the way they can change the basketball court to an ice hockey rink in one day. It's phenomenal. So great arena, but the Masters was definitely the highlight of the trip.
Did you rub shoulders with any celebrities or sports people?
Well, Matthew Richardson was there. He was there following the Aussies. Wasn't too many other.
Did you run into Wayne Gretzky? No.
Oh, I did at the. I was sitting actually right next to Wayne Gretzky at the basketball. So I was fortunate enough to have pretty much courtside tickets for that game. So there was a few. The Knicks liked their celebrities, so half of them wouldn't have a clue who they were, but Wayne Gretzky was one that was quite identifiable.
Now the Masters, tell us about that experience. What a memorable final day it was. But how many days were you there and who'd you go with?
So I went for Saturday, Sunday, so the last 2 days, and went to Timmy Larkin, who obviously used to play footy at Hahndorf too, so we're both keen golfers. The Masters is like, Augusta is something special. Like it's, you see it on TV and it looks magnificent on TV, but it's just a whole different level come when you get there. It's amazingly hilly. Day one, I decided to walk the whole course, and I obviously did a few holes back and forward. I got there at 7 o'clock in the morning, finished at 7:30 at night, and I was asleep by 8 o'clock. That's how worn out just from walking up and down the hills. It's a magnificent place. It's like a different world. It's like a wonderland, really. So
no phones, no recording devices.
No. So it's very old school. So I didn't even take my phone. So my phone was left at home for the whole day, which is very unusual for me.
How was that?
It was funny enough. I felt like the phone was buzzing in my pocket the whole day, but it was nothing there. So, but like there's no electric scoreboards. The menu, the food, and the drink are all at old school prices. So. Very cheap, and it's still the same sandwiches they made 50, 60 years ago. So they're not those sandwiches, but they make them the same way. It's a surreal experience.
Is it? Can you liken it to anything else? And is it like a? Are you liking it to any other experience you've been to in life, or is it just
No, it's clearly the best, and I've been to quite a few sporting events, lucky enough to do that. But this was.
Feel it?
Yeah, you feel it. It's and obviously with Rory winning and all the anticipation around him, that last day, the Sunday, obviously getting to walk up. I followed him for the whole day. I was lucky enough to see him on quite a few holes. So watching him win it was quite an amazing feat. So
who did you follow around? What was your tactics for the Masters?
So Saturday it was the Strange, so Min Woo Lee and Jason Day. So watched a lot of them on the first day, and then watched the last 3 groups I watched the whole lot come through, and then watched the last 3 groups, and I had to jump 3 holes in front and then watch them again. So obviously DeChambeau and Rory were the last group, but Jason Day was also in that last 3 groups too. So obviously being a hack golfer myself, to watch these guys hit the golf balls, it's hard to believe how skillful they are. So it's an experience I'll never forget.
Fantastic. Well, Pistols is going to come in shortly. Obviously a big day for the club. 1995 A-grade premiership reunion. Yes. I think it was against Onka Valley, and I might as well bring Pistols in now for that transition. Thanks again, Trent, for the chat.
No worries, mate.
Pistols.
Good to see you, Trent. Just a quick question, talking about the Masters. Have they got room for a live golf party hole type situation?
Not sure it's the right environment for live golf party hole. It's very prim and proper.
Yeah,
Yeah, you even step outside the boundaries and you get told or threatened to kick out. I actually accidentally stepped over the boundary once and was told in no uncertain terms, get back behind the line.
You could be a reporter in America, just doing the job, you get shot, so you wouldn't want to be a rowdy spectator, would you?
I had some big guns, so I wasn't taking any chances.
One final you got some merchandise afterwards, did you?
I did. I did empty the account on the merchandise tent. I can't remember the number. They sell an extraordinary amount of merchandise, but I came home with a fair bit. So.
Now, mate, today obviously carrying the tag of football director, but today you're carrying the tag of 1995 Premiership footballer, so 30 years ago, mate. So good crowd in the house of the team members.
Yeah, and I think we end up with about 15 or 16, which is great. Doesn't feel like 30 years ago, but makes you feel very old looking back how long ago it was. And I remember obviously Trevor Graber was obviously a famous career rider and started this whole thing when I was a kid. So having a look at some of the stuff that happened back then, but it certainly doesn't feel like 30 years ago.
Now it was an era where it was a really good rivalry between yourself and Onkers. Obviously 1992, Hahndorf won that. Then they get knocked out in 93 in the preliminary final, rather unexpectedly. So you played Bridgie. Then 94 they pip you.
Yes,
and so 95 it was a sort of a vengeful performance by the Magpies.
Yeah, it's interesting. I played in both 94 and 95. And 94, it felt like we just couldn't get anywhere near them for most of the year. To be honest, with that grand final, I felt like they had it in complete control, and I felt like 95 was exactly the same. I don't actually remember much of the game because it just seemed like we were in control. I just felt like we were comfortably going to win the game. So interesting, both interesting grand finals. Both seemed to be there wasn't a lot of action in it. I think we sort of both teams got to a 3-goal lead early and sort of held that. I think we won by 5 in 95. So, but we certainly had a good rivalry going forward.
Good memory. Well, man, who knows figures pretty well. Yeah, you're right. 12-10 to 7-7. At half time it was 5-7 to 2-1, but then the third quarter, 9-8 to 4-5. So you still had a bit of work to do at three-quarter time, but you sense that you did have it.
Yeah, one thing I do remember from that three-quarter time is I was unlucky enough to be standing Roger Wilson, and obviously you probably remember Roger was a very talented player.
So male medalist.
Yeah, and I obviously went and found him because I knew that I was going to be standing with him in the last quarter, and he took me to the their full back line, and there was no one within 50 or 60 metres, and I thought there's only one bloke who can lose this game for us, and that's me. So it was a bit of a nervous time, but we obviously kicked away and won the game comfortably. But yeah, very good player, Roger.
You must have done well, Trent, because you were mentioning the best players for your effort in cutting out their key playmaker.
Well, he was a star. Like, I think everyone remembers how good Rog was. He was around in that era. I think probably averaged 5 goals a game most times, but I did get the job in all 1995, and I'd probably say I got the better of him, so I was and certainly got him better on the right day.
And just quickly, we'll go through on the day the best players, because the great Randall Pearce, Simon Blake, Llewellyn, Field, Grivell and Shorland. So
Browning's probably unlucky to miss those best players.
Yeah,
very good that day.
Steve Alexander kicked 4 goals, and of course the great BJ Yench kicking 4. So that would have been a highlight of your career, playing a premiership with BJ, wouldn't it?
Well, not so much BJ, but the rest of the team, yeah.
Well, he'd probably tell you that.
He's always happy to remind me of his feats.
And obviously playing on the Richard Hill, that era, which shows much success for Hahndorf. So just as a coach, just a quick word on Richard.
Look, he's an amazing coach. You barely have to say anything. You look at his football record and his basketball record. I don't even know what it is, but it's a lot of premierships. He's just a super coach who had unbelievable man skills as far as looking after the player and understanding what made you tick. He certainly got the best out of me in my footy. My short footy career was certainly got the best out of me, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, no doubt, mate. The goals will get better today. The marks will get higher. The kicks longer a bit later on, no doubt. So it's great to, as you said, doesn't seem like 30 years ago, but once again, a indelible part of Hahndorf's history, that 95 flag. So enjoy your celebrations this afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Pistols. Good on you, mate. Thanks again. Cheers.
All right, back to Goldy as the game's underway.